Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on 790 The Bet. Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency and Wally Hatchett's Comfort Food and Drinks at 6439 Summer Avenue.
And we're back with Outdoors with Larry Ray. I'm Tony Dolly, sitting in as host, along with Frank Barton and Ron Wong. And on the phone, we have Gene Gilliland, who's the BASS Conservation Director. And Gene is going to talk to us about some of the stuff they're doing at BASS with lake cleanups. Now, that may not sound like a big deal to some of you, but when he tells you how much trash and junk they pull out of the lakes to make them cleaner, which is better for everybody, including not just anglers, but everybody involved, you're going to be impressed. So, Gene, why don't you talk to us about Lake Chickamauga and what you guys just did there?
It was really a pretty amazing cleanup. You know, a lot of organizations do these lake cleanups where they get down to the shoreline or the boat ramps and they pick up a few bags of trash. Well, we organized about 7 of the Tennessee Bass Nation high school teams from that area, several other just volunteer organizations that came by to help. We had some of our Elite Series pro anglers that helped out. And we spent an afternoon pretty much scouring the shoreline, the boat ramps, some of the creeks and things around Lake Chickamauga. And at 5 or so in the afternoon, everybody came rolling back into the venue where we were. The next day is where the Elite Series tournament weigh-in was going to be held. And we had a little weigh-in of our own.
Wow!
With the trash that was picked up.
Do we need a drum roll here?
You might. We wound up with 411 bags of trash.
Wow!
We had a paddle boat.
Whoa!
A fiberglass camper shell off of a pickup.
Jeez.
Aluminum siding, all sorts of styrofoam like flotation from docks, from fishing docks, coolers, just all sorts of stuff, and lots of tires. We actually had 61 tires.
Wow.
Golly.
And we weighed it all on a set of scales. I had actually borrowed a set of scales from a scale company in Chattanooga called Wingfield Scales. That were, luckily it was they're a bunch of fishermen, and they loaned us a set of scales, a really nice, so we got some good accurate weights. And we weighed in 12,982 pounds of trash.
Oh my gosh!
Golly!
Wow!
How many volunteers did you have?
We had right at 95 high school and junior bass club, and then about 60 adult that made up our crews.
Wow!
So
about 150 people, man.
Wow, that's pretty amazing, Gene.
This was all sponsored by 2 of our longtime conservation supporters.
Yeah, that'd be AFCO and Yamaha.
Right. Yamaha Right Waters is Yamaha's new, I say new, it's a couple of years old, initiative that they have that's really all about conservation and sustainability.
Yeah.
And
they
of course,
were awarded
AFCO,
a new boat at the Bassmaster Classic, too, to help with their efforts there. It wasn't there.
The Keep Tennessee River Beautiful organization was one of the groups that helped us. Yamaha has been supporting them, provided them with a boat and motor, I think, a couple of years ago. So it's been it was a pretty amazing sight. The mountain of trash. I don't know how big these big roll off dumpsters are. They're about 8 feet tall and probably 25 feet long. We completely filled one of those dumpsters with the trash.
Wow.
And then another smaller dumpster, a lower, shorter one, took all the tires because they had to be separated.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Gene, what does that mean for Lake Chickamauga or any other lake that's where you guys hold these cleanups? What does that mean for the lake itself and the water? What's the aftermath of all that besides the fact that there's no trash, there's less trash in the lake?
It's a start. That's what we're telling people. There's every lake in the country, I think we have a litter problem, and then an awful lot of the trash that our folks picked up, some of it was just dumped out by inconsiderate people. But some of it is things that gets dumped out in town and then washes into the lake. This is not necessarily a lot of trash that people in boats are out there throwing out. It's stuff that's washed into the lake from the surrounding communities. And we've seen that at several of the other trash pickups that we've done. That you kind of wind up with a concentration of some of the trash that, especially things like bottles and plastic bottles, styrofoam cups, that kind of stuff that floats downstream.
Yeah.
And you get big floods, big rains, and this stuff washes down into the lakes, and then the wind and the currents tend to concentrate it in certain areas.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of our teams found.
Right. Gene, you've got some cleanup challenges scheduled, and of which there's one near our area here in Memphis, Tennessee. That's in Counts, Tennessee, on Pickwick Lake.
Right.
Tell our listeners, how can they get involved to help?
Yeah, I was in Counts yesterday, as a matter of fact.
Oh, wow.
We're trying to get started with the recruiting process. So, Ron, it works. Perfect timing. What we're it's going to be June the 4th, which is a Saturday, and that's the weekend of our Bassmaster Elite Tournament on Pickwick Lake, and Counts and Hardin County are the host for the Elite Tournament. So on Saturday morning, we are going to do our lake cleanup at Pickwick Landing State Park. And we'll start about 8:30 in the morning. And the idea is to send the volunteers all over the lake, and bring the trash back then to the elite stage.
And that'll be at the state park there in Counts, correct?
That's where people will find the big elite.
Right. Gosh, unfortunately, I'm going to be at Truman Lake that weekend covering another tournament. I wish I could be there for that. So if somebody wants to volunteer, Gene, because, there's a lot of people that, listen to our station here throughout the whole Mid-South area, what do they need to do that Saturday morning? Show up at what time? And
let's back up just a little bit. And they want to come as a group. We'd like them ahead of time. And if they will go to Bassmaster.com and search under the conservation page, there is a link there that tells them how to register their group. And just to put a little sugar on it, AFCO and Yamaha are actually offering some prize money. We're really not prize money. It's more like conservation grants to organizations that volunteer to come out and help. So if a scout troop or a bass club or a church group or a Friends of Pickwick Lake group, they make $1,000 for coming out and helping.
Oh, wow. That's really good. Okay. Well, certainly we'll continue to mention that as the time gets closer here throughout the month of May also.
So how many volunteers would be ideal, Gene? What's you had about 150, 60 at Chickamauga, but how many would you like to have?
Pickwick's a really big lake. I'd like to have 200, 250 people.
Yeah, it's a long
We'd like to get a lot of the local local organizations, homeowners groups, limited to just the fishing clubs, the bass clubs. We want to get everybody that cares about the lake involved in this, and hopefully kind of start a fire under some of those groups so that they'll continue to do these cleanups, and this won't be a one-time thing, and really start making a dent in the amount of litter and trash.
Gene, where are some of the places that you're planning to go next with this? Where are some of the other places you're planning to go down the road?
Well, we've got this one, the next one scheduled at Pickwick, and then we've got another one in August that's going to be at La Crosse, Wisconsin, on the Mississippi River.
Wow!
And so those are going to be our three big events. Now we've got several of our local bass clubs and our state Bass Nation affiliates do lake cleanups on their own that are a little smaller scale. Mm-hmm. In fact, the Bass Nation has started a project just recently where they're trying to get the high school teams to adopt an access. You know, you're familiar with the signs you see on the side of the highway where somebody adopts a few miles to pick up trash on the highway?
Sure.
They're doing the same thing, trying to get these bass clubs to adopt a boat ramp.
Oh, wow, cool.
Once a month, they go out there and they clean up the boat ramp and they pick up the trash and the fishing line and whatever else is there.
Well, you can't ask for much more than that.
No.
Kind of a new initiative that they're getting started there in Tennessee.
Yeah, Gene, if somebody wants more information about these events and more information about bass conservation, where can they go? The
easiest thing to do is go to the conservation page on Bassmaster.com, and my email address is on there. There is a list on that page of all of the state conservation directors. Okay. So depending on what state people are in, they can look up and find the state conservation director, which I'm at the national level.
Right.
But we've got a list of phone numbers and email addresses for the conservation directors for each state. That's a good place to start.
Well, we thank you, Gene. Appreciate that. Appreciate the efforts that BASS is making to clean up the lakes and the water. And we'll talk to you about that again down the road.
All right, spread the word.
We will. Thanks, Gene. And we'll be right back with more Outdoors with Larry Ray.